Hello, and welcome. Let the world you know begin to fade. Let the light of your screens, the noise of your streets, the very weight and texture of your own time fall away, like a heavy cloak slipping from your shoulders. Tonight, we are not just traveling back in time, we are attempting to travel beyond it. We are journeying to a world that existed before the first king ever wore a crown, before the first city ever laid a stone, before the first word was ever scratched onto a clay tablet. We are journeying to a world that is not recorded in the chronicles of men, a world whose history is not written in the ink of scribes, but in the silent, patient testimony of stone, of bone, of fossilized pollen, and of the ancient, deep, and unforgetting earth itself. We are going back. We are going back to the great, deep, and primal sleep of our own species. We are going into the long, cold, and often terrifying dream of the Paleolithic. We are going to the Stone Age, and we will see this world not through the eyes of the mighty, heroic hunter, his great spear raised against a woolly mammoth. We will see it not through the eyes of the wise and mysterious shaman, her face painted with the sacred blood-red ochre. We will see it through the eyes that saw the world for the very first time, through eyes that were unburdened by history, by theory, by dogma. We will see it through the eyes of a child. To understand this child, this small, fragile, and yet infinitely resilient ancestor, is to understand the very seed of what it means to be human. To live their life, for a time, in the theater of our own minds, is to touch the very foundation of our own complex and often troubled humanity. It is to remember a world that our bones and our blood have not forgotten, even if our minds have. So let the first, small, and precious flame be lit in the great, deep darkness. Let the story begin. Our story begins, as all human stories must, with a birth. But this is a birth that is stripped of all the comforts, the technologies, and the securities of our own world. You are born not in a sterile, white, and brightly lit room. You are born not in a soft, clean bed, attended by medical professionals who have a scientific understanding of the process. You are born into the wild. You are born into the cold. You are born into the dark. Your first experience of the world, your first and most fundamental lesson, is one of profound and shocking contrast. Let us imagine your mother. She is a woman of perhaps 20 years of age, though her body is as strong, as lean, and as weathered as the body of a woman twice her age in our own time. Her skin is tanned and toughened by a lifetime of exposure to the sun and the wind. Her hands are calloused and capable. Her muscles are hard and functional, built not by exercise, but by the relentless, daily demands of a life of physical labor. She has felt the first, deep, and unmistakable pangs of your coming. The clan has been on the move for days, following a herd of reindeer, but now, they must stop. They have found a place of relative shelter, a great south-facing limestone overhang, a shallow cave that has been used by her people, and by animals, for thousands of years. She does not go to a special, designated birthing hut. She retreats to the quietest, the deepest, and the most sheltered part of this great rock shelter. She is not alone. She is surrounded by the other women of her clan, her own small, supportive, and deeply knowledgeable community. Her own mother, a woman whose face is a roadmap of wrinkles and of wisdom, is there. Her sisters, her aunts, her cousins, are there. This is a sacred, an ancient, and an exclusively female space. The men of the clan, including your father, are kept at a distance. They have been sent on a ritual hunt, a hunt for a special, symbolic animal, perhaps a white ptarmigan or a snow hare. They're anxious and perhaps disruptive. Energy is being channeled into the necessary and time-honored task of providing for the group. Your mother lies not on a bed, but on a carefully and lovingly prepared nest. It is a thick, a soft, and a fragrant mattress of dry, pale green moss that the women have gathered from the rocks. Upon this moss, they have laid the softest, the most supple, and the most precious of the clan's animal furs, the pelts of deer, of wolves, of Arctic foxes. This nest is laid upon the cold, hard-packed, and dusty earth of the cave floor. The air around her is cold, a deep, a penetrating, and a life-threatening cold that radiates from the great, ancient stone walls of the cave. The only warmth is the great, roaring, and crackling fire that burns in the center of the communal living space, and the immediate, the overwhelming, the vital, and the life-giving warmth of the women's bodies crowded around her, a small human shield against the vast, cold indifference of the Ice Age world. Your birth is a long, a primal, and a difficult ordeal. It is a struggle. It is a battle for life, for both you and for your mother. The women of the clan assist her. They hold her hands. They wipe the sweat from her brow with a soft piece of animal hide. They chant. It is a low, a rhythmic, a powerful, and a hypnotic sound. A sound without words. A sound that has been passed down through generations of women. It is a sound that is designed to soothe her pain, to focus her spirit, to align her body with the great ancient rhythms of creation. The clan's shaman, an old and a powerful woman, the keeper of the sacred knowledge, is present. She does not use surgical tools or modern medicines. She uses her profound and intuitive knowledge of the sacred and of the body. She might gently, rhythmically, and firmly massage your mother's belly with warm, blended animal fat that has been infused with special, fragrant herbs. She might offer your mother a special, bitter-tasting tea, brewed from the leaves of the raspberry plant, a drink that has been known for thousands of years to ease the pains of labor and to strengthen the contractions. And she speaks. She speaks not to your mother, but to the spirits of the place, to the great, ancient, and powerful mother goddess of the earth, the spirit of the cave itself. She asks for a safe and an easy passage for the new life that is about to enter the world. And then, after many long hours of struggle, you are born. You emerge from the warm, the dark, the silent, and the watery world of the womb into a world of cold, of air, of light, and of overwhelming, shocking sensation. Your first breath is not a gentle inhalation. It is a gasp, a violent, convulsive shock, as the cold, the thin, and the smoky Ice Age air fills your virgin lungs for the very first time. Your first cry is a thin, a reedy, and a surprisingly loud sound that is almost lost in the vast, the high-ceilinged, and the echoing space of the great cave. Your first sensations are of this profound and this fundamental contrast, the sharp, the biting, and the almost painful cold of the Paleolithic air on your wet, your new, and your utterly unprotected skin. And then, the immediate, the enveloping, the blissful, and the life-giving heat of your mother's body as she pulls you, with a grunt of exhaustion and of triumph, to her chest. Your world, in these first, precious moments, is a world of pure, of unmediated, and of overwhelming sensation. It is a world without names, without concepts, without language. It is a world of pure being. Let us try, for a moment, to inhabit this sensory world. The first, the most powerful, and the most defining sensation is that of smell. The air you breathe is a rich, a complex, and a deeply organic tapestry of scents. There is the strong, the pungent, the sharp, and the ever-present smell of the wood smoke from the great fire. It is the smell of burning pine, of birch, and of oak, a smell that is both acrid and deeply primordially comforting. It is the smell of your species. There is the rich, the dark, the loamy, and the slightly metallic smell of the damp earth of the cave floor. There is the warm, the musky, and the slightly greasy animal scent of the furskins that you are lying on. And above all of these, the scent that is your entire world, there is the immediate, the overwhelming, and the deeply, profoundly reassuring scent of your mother. It is a complex and a unique perfume. It is the smell of her skin. It is the smell of her sweat from the long ordeal of your birth. It is the smell of her milk, a sweet and a creamy scent. It is the smell of her blood. This is the scent of safety. This is the scent of life itself. It is the first scent you will ever know, and it is the one that your deep, animal brain will seek for the rest of your life as a source of ultimate comfort and of security. Your sense of touch is the sense of absolute connection. You feel the soft, the surprisingly delicate, and the slightly greasy texture of the deer hide that your grandmother now wraps you in. You feel the rough, the calloused, the strong, and yet the incredibly gentle texture of your mother's hand as she cleans the vernix, the birth wax from your skin. You feel the astonishing, the blissful, and the almost overwhelming warmth of her skin against your own. A warmth that is a stark and a beautiful contrast to the cold of the air. You feel the soft, the yielding, and the perfect comfort of her breast against your cheek. And then, the first, the miraculous, and the deeply satisfying taste of her warm, her sweet, and her life-giving milk, the colostrum, a substance rich in the antibodies that will protect you in these first, dangerous days of your life. In this cold and in this dangerous world, touch is warmth, touch is safety, touch is nourishment, touch is love. Your sense of hearing is at first a muffled, a distorted, and a watery blur, the legacy of your 9 months in the fluid of the womb. But soon, the sounds of your new world begin to resolve themselves, to take on shape and meaning. There is the constant, the soft, the rhythmic, and the gentle crackle and hiss of the great campfire. This sound will be the lullaby of your entire childhood. It is the sound of safety. It is the sound of your people. There is the low, the soft murmur of the women's voices around you. They are speaking in a language that is not yet language to you. It is a language of soft clicks, of guttural hums, of gentle, of cooing, and of reassuring tones. It is the sound of the female community that has brought you into this world and will now protect you. You hear the distant, the mournful, and the lonely howl of a wolf, far out in the dark, snow-dusted wilderness, a sound that makes the circle of women round the fire draw a little closer together. Their bodies are warm and a living wall between you and the dangers of the night. You hear the slow, the patient, the rhythmic, drip, drip, drip of water. Deep within the dark and secret recesses of the cave, a sound of immense and of unknowable antiquity, the sound of the world's own slow, patient, and eternal clock. Your sense of sight is the last of your senses to fully engage. Your world is a world of deep, of soft shadows, and of bright, flickering, and unpredictable light. Your eyes, accustomed to the absolute darkness of the womb, are dazzled by the bright, the dancing, and the living light of the fire. You see the faces of the women who surround you, leaning in to look at you, the new arrival. They are not the soft, the smooth, the unlined, and the smiling faces of our own world. These are the faces of survivors. Their skin is weathered and tanned, a deep, leathery brown by a lifetime of exposure to the harsh sun and the biting wind. Their brows are furrowed with concentration and with care. Their eyes are deep-set, are intelligent, are watchful, are unsentimental. Their expressions are a complex and a beautiful mixture of a profound and a practical curiosity, of a deep, an ancient, and an unsentimental wisdom, and of a powerful and a protective love. These are the faces of your family, of your clan, of your small, nomadic, and tightly knit band of perhaps 20 or 30 individuals. These people are your entire world. They are your only defense against the vast, the cold, the beautiful, and the utterly indifferent wilderness that begins just beyond the protective and sacred circle of the firelight. You are a Stone Age child. In this moment of your birth, you are one of the most vulnerable, one of the most helpless creatures in this entire, harsh landscape. But you are also a symbol of the most powerful and the most resilient force in this world. You are a symbol of hope. You are a symbol of the continuation of your people. You are a new, a precious, and a vital link in an ancient, an unbroken chain that stretches back from parent to child for thousands upon thousands of years. You're small, you're fragile, and your precious life is a flame that has just been lit in the great, the deep, and the ancient darkness. And the entire clan, your entire small world, will now work together with all their collective strength, with all their hard-won knowledge, and with all their fierce protective love to keep that small, vulnerable flame from being extinguished by the cold winds of this ancient, this beautiful, and this unforgiving world. You are not given a name, not at first. To give a name to something so fragile, so uncertain, is to tempt the spirits of misfortune. It is to attract the unwanted attention of the forces of chaos. You are simply the child, the new one. Your name will come later, if you survive the first, most dangerous weeks and months of your life. It might be a name that is given to you by an elder, a name that comes to them in a dream. It might be a name that describes a quality you possess, like Quickfoot or Lapwinghives, or it might be the name of a powerful and a respected animal, a totem, a spirit that is believed to be your special guardian and protector, like wolf or bear or eagle. Your first few years of life are a period of intense, of constant, and of unbroken physical connection. You are rarely, if ever, put down. You are carried everywhere in a soft, supple, and warm sling made of animal hide, perhaps deer or reindeer skin, that has been chewed by the women of the clan until it is as soft as cloth. You are nestled in this sling, against your mother's body, against her side or on her back. You feel the constant, rhythmic, and soothing motion of her walking. You feel the warmth of her skin. You feel the steady, the strong, and the deeply reassuring beat of her heart. You are, in a very real sense, still a part of her, an external limb. When she works, when she forages for roots and for berries, when she scrapes a hide, when she gathers firewood, you are with her. You learn the entire world from this safe, this warm, and this constantly moving vantage point. You see the world through her eyes. You feel her moments of concentration, of fear, of joy. This practice of constant carrying is not just a matter of affection or of convenience. It is an absolute and a non-negotiable matter of survival. To leave a helpless human infant alone, even for a few minutes, in this world, is to invite immediate and certain disaster. A predator, a stealthy leopard, a hungry wolf, a simple, slithering snake, a simple accident, a fall into the fire, a tumble into the river. The world is too full of dangers, and so, you are held, you are protected, you are constantly surrounded by the familiar sounds, the familiar smells, and the familiar, loving touch of your own people. Your world has no sharp edges, it has no hard, flat, and artificial surfaces. It is a world of organic, of soft, of yielding, and of rounded shapes and textures. The curved, the womb-like wall of the cave, the rounded, the smooth, and the pleasing shape of a river stone, the soft, the deep, and the yielding surface of a fur skin, the rough, the comforting, and the living bark of a tree. You do not sleep in a separate, a silent room, in a hard, a cold, and a rectangular crib. You sleep in a communal, a living, and a breathing huddle, a nest of bodies. Your small, warm form is pressed between the large, protective bodies of your mother and your father, and surrounded by the smaller, twitching bodies of your siblings. This shared sleep is a profound and an essential part of your existence. It is a time of absolute warmth, of absolute security, of a deep and of an unconscious bonding with your family. You can hear the slow, the deep, and the rhythmic breathing of your father. You can feel the small, the quick, and the shallow breathing of your infant sibling. You can feel the small, the twitching movements of your older brother as he dreams of the hunt. You are not a separate individual. You are a single, a warm, a living, and a breathing organism. You are a family, a clan, united against the immense, the pressing, and the dangerous reality of the cold and the dark of the night. This is the absolute foundation of your world. It is a world that is, from its very first moments, defined by a series of powerful, of simple, and of fundamental dualities. The duality of the intense, the sacred, and the life-giving warmth of the fire, and the deep, the profane, and the life-threatening cold of the world beyond it. The duality of the bright, the safe, the known, and the human world of the firelit cave, and the immense, the dark, the unknown, and the dangerous world of the wilderness outside, and the duality of the small, the intensely connected, the loving, and the deeply human world of the clan, and the vast, the empty, the silent, and the indifferent universe that surrounds it. To be a child in this world is to learn, in your very bones, in your very soul, that survival, and not just survival, but life itself, depends on staying close to the warmth, on staying in the light, and on staying, always, and forever, connected to your people. These are the first, the deepest, and the most important unspoken rules you will ever learn. As you grow from a helpless swaddled infant into a small, curious, and walking child, your world expands with an explosive and breathtaking speed. The safe, warm, and dark world of the cave, the world that was once your entire universe, is now just the starting point, the secure base from which you begin your explorations. And you explore this new, larger world, not through the abstract filter of concepts, or through the rigid structure of language, but through the raw, direct, and unfiltered input of your senses. To be a child in the Stone Age is to have your senses tuned to a pitch of sensitivity, of acuity, and of vital importance that we, in our modern mediated world, can barely begin to imagine. Your survival, and the survival of your clan, depends not on what you are told, but on what you can see, what you can hear, what you can smell, what you can touch, and what you can taste. Your senses are your primary tools for understanding and for surviving the world. Let us first consider your sense of smell, the most ancient and the most primal of all the senses. Your world is a rich, a complex, and a deeply meaningful tapestry of sense. Your nose is not a passive receptor of pleasant or unpleasant odors. It is an active, analytical instrument, a vital tool of navigation, of foraging, and of survival. The smell of the campfire is the most constant, the most powerful, and the most comforting scent in your life. It is the very smell of safety, of warmth, of cooked food, of community. It is the smell of home. It is a complex smell, a mixture of the sharp, clean, resinous scent of the burning pine and the deeper, smokier scent of the oak logs. When you are out in the landscape, A faint, distant whiff of wood smoke on the wind is a beacon, a signal that can guide you back to the safety of your own people. But there are other, equally important smells. You learn to read the olfactory map of your territory. The sharp, clean, and almost medicinal scent of the vast pine forests that grow on the hillsides. The deep, dark, loamy smell of damp earth after a rain shower. A smell that is rich with the promise of life, of mushrooms, of worms for bait. The sweet, intoxicating, and almost unbearably beautiful fragrance of a patch of wild honey. The product of a wild beehive hidden high in the trunk of an ancient, hollow tree. This is a scent your people can follow for miles. A scent that promises the rarest and most precious of all tastes, pure sweetness. You also learn, with a deep and instinctual fear, the smells of danger. You learn the musky, pungent, and deeply unsettling scent of a great cave lion, a scent that can linger on the air long after the creature has passed. You learn to distinguish it from the smell of the wolf, and from the smell of the bear. Each predator has its own unique and terrifying signature. You learn the faint, sickly sweet smell of a rotting carcass, a smell that is both a promise and a warning. It signals the presence of carrion to be scavenged, a valuable source of protein. But it also signals the very recent proximity of a dangerous predator, the one who made the kill. Your nose is a constant, vigilant sentinel, always sampling the air for information, for opportunity, and for threats. Then there is your sense of hearing, a faculty that is honed to an incredible degree in the profound quiet of the prehistoric world. The Stone Age world is not silent. That is a misconception. But it is a world without the constant, low-level, and meaningless background noise of our own time. There is no distant hum of traffic, no drone of an airplane overhead. Every sound has a source, and every sound has a meaning. The silence is a canvas, and the sounds are the vital information that is painted upon it. You learn to distinguish the call of every single bird in your territory. You know the fluting, melodic song of the thrush at dawn. You know the harsh, scolding caw of the raven. And you learn that these are not just sounds, they are messages. You learn the difference between the normal, conversational hoot of an owl at dusk, a sound that means all is well, and the sharp, frantic, and repeated alarm call of a jay in the forest, a sound that means a predator, a lion or a wolf, is moving through the undergrowth. The birds are your scouts, your sentinels, and you learn to listen to their warnings. You can hear the almost silent snap of a dry twig under a heavy foot in the forest, and you can know, with a certainty that is born of 1,000 experiences, whether it is the light, quick sound of a deer, or the heavy, deliberate sound of a bear. You can lie in your sleeping furs at night and listen to the sounds of the world outside the cave. You can hear the rustle of a small animal in the dry leaves. You can hear the distant cry of a fox. You can hear the subtle shift in the sound of the wind as it moves through the pine trees, a shift that signals an approaching storm, a change in the weather. In the deep, absolute quiet of the night, your hearing is your primary defense, a delicate and highly sensitive radar that is constantly scanning the darkness for any sound that is out of place, for any sound that means danger. Your sense of touch is your primary way of understanding the texture, the substance of your world. You live in a world that is not smooth, not uniform, not mass-produced. Everything has a unique and complex texture. You feel the rough, abrasive, and yet beautifully functional surface of the stone tools that your father makes. You feel the surprising, almost sensual, softness of the rabbit fur that your mother uses to line your winter cloak. You feel the sharp, needle-like prickle of a thorn bush, a painful but important lesson in caution. You feel the cool, smooth, and perfectly weighted surface of a river stone in your palm, a stone that might become a hammer, or a toy, or a sacred object. You learn to walk barefoot on the hard, uneven earth. Your feet, from a very young age, become tough and calloused, a kind of natural leather sole. But they also become incredibly sensitive. Your feet can read the texture of the ground in a way that is almost a form of sight. You can feel the difference between the soft, yielding cushion of moss, the sharp, painful bite of loose gravel, the cool, damp slipperiness of mud, the dry, warm dust of a well-worn path. You can walk through the forest at night, in near total darkness, and navigate by the feel of the ground beneath your feet. Your sense of taste is simple, but it is profound. Your world is devoid of the complex, artificial, and often overwhelming flavors of our own. There is no refined sugar, no processed salt, no artificial flavorings. Your palate is clean, and it is therefore attuned to the subtle, the powerful, and the honest tastes of the wild. You learn the shocking, mouth-puckering, and intensely sour taste of an unripe berry, a taste that teaches you the importance of patience, of waiting for the sun to do its work. You learn the deep, rich, savory, and utterly satisfying taste of roasted meat, the taste of a successful hunt. And you learn the even more prized taste of pure, rendered animal fat, a taste that is not just a pleasure, but a deep, biological craving. For fat is the most concentrated source of energy in this harsh and demanding world. You learn the rare, the precious, the almost magical taste of wild honey, a taste so powerful, so intensely sweet, that it feels like a direct gift from the spirits, a taste of paradise. You learn the earthy, the minchy, and the sometimes bitter taste of the edible roots and the tubers that you dig for with your mother. Your tongue, like your nose and your eyes, becomes a tool of survival. You learn, through careful, supervised experimentation, to distinguish between the plants that are safe to eat and those that are poisonous. You learn that a bitter taste is often a warning sign. It is a lesson that is taught to you with the utmost seriousness by the elders of your clan, for it is a lesson where a single, careless mistake could be your last. And finally, there is your sense of sight, a sense that is shaped and honed by a world that is defined by the absolute and fundamental difference between the day and the night. In a world without any form of artificial light other than the fire, your eyes are adapted to two completely different realities. There is the bright, sun-drenched, and vividly colored world of the day, and there is the deep, profound, and almost absolute darkness of the night. During the day, you learn to see the subtle, almost invisible, signs of the landscape. You learn to see the faint, barely perceptible track of a deer in the mud by the riverbank. You learn to see the way the tall grasses are bent and broken, a sign that tells you the path an animal has taken and how long ago it passed. You learn to see the distant, circling flight of vultures high in the blue sky, a sure and certain sign of a recent kill, an opportunity for scavenging. You learn to distinguish the camouflaged shape of a ptarmigan, a bird that can change its feather color with the seasons, from the rocks and the snow around it. Your eyes are not just for seeing, they are for reading. The landscape is a book, and you are learning to read its language. And at night, you look up into a sky that is not polluted by the hazy, orange glow of cities. You see a sky of a deep, velvety, and absolute blackness. And against this blackness, you see the stars. You see them not as we do, a pale and distant scattering. You see them in their full, breathtaking, and overwhelming glory. The Milky Way is not a faint, cloudy smudge. It is a vast, brilliant, and shimmering river of light, a celestial Nile that flows across the heavens. You see the constellations, the great animal and human shapes that your people have projected onto the sky. You see the planets, the wandering stars, as they move slowly and mysteriously against the fixed background. The stars are your calendar. Their slow, majestic, and perfectly predictable turning tells you of the coming of the seasons. You know that when a certain star group, the one you call the Great Elk, rises in the east just before the dawn, it is the time for the salmon to run in the rivers. You know that when another group is high in the sky at midnight, it is the deepest part of winter. The stars are your map. They are the fixed points that allow you to navigate across the vast, featureless landscapes. And they are your gods. They are the homes of the ancestors, the great, shining spirits who watch over you. The second unspoken rule of your childhood is that your senses are your teachers. They are your guides. They are your guardians. To be a child in this world is to be a master of the art of perception. It is to be a creature that is perfectly and beautifully attuned to the subtle, the complex, and the often dangerous language of the wild. It is to live in a state of constant, wakeful, and vibrant connection with the living world around you. The world of the Stone Age child is a world of vast, open, and often deeply dangerous spaces. The landscape you inhabit is a boundless and untamed wilderness, a place without walls, without roads, without fences. It is a world that is, for the most part, indifferent to your small existence. But at the very center of this vast and wild world, there is a small, a warm, and an intensely safe circle, a bubble of humanity. This is the circle of the campfire. The hearth, the fire, is not just a feature of your campsite. It is the absolute and undisputed center of your family's life. It is the anchor of your nomadic existence, the one fixed and reliable point in your constantly moving world. It is, in a very real sense, the first and most essential home that humankind ever created, the fire is your primary and most powerful defense against the two great and ever-present threats of your world, the profound, bone-chilling cold, and the deep predator-filled dark. The cold of the long glacial nights of the Pleistocene can kill. It is a silent, a creeping, and a relentless enemy. But the fire is a living, breathing shield against it. It is a bubble of life-giving, artificial warmth in the immense, unfeeling cold of the ancient world. You sleep, huddled together with your family, with your entire clan, on beds of furs and moss, arranged in a circle around the glowing heart of the fire. You sleep with your backs to the cold, dark wall of the cave, your faces turned towards the warm, breathing, and deeply comforting glow of the embers. The fire keeps your body from freezing. It keeps the dampness at bay. It is a physical and a psychological comfort of a magnitude we can barely comprehend. And the fire is your only true defense against the darkness. The night in the Stone Age is a different kind of darkness than the one we know. Our world is saturated with artificial light. The prehistoric night was an absolute, a profound, a tangible, and a living blackness, and it was a blackness that was filled with danger. The great predators of your world, the immense cave bears, the powerful cave lions, the great packs of dire wolves, the stealthy leopards, the cackling, bone-crushing hyenas, these are the true rulers of the night. Their senses are perfectly adapted to the darkness. Their eyes can see, their ears can hear, their noses can smell, in a way that you cannot. In the dark, you are the prey. But all of these great and terrifying creatures fear one thing. They fear fire. The leaping, unpredictable, and unnatural flames are a powerful deterrent. The circle of the firelight creates a small, a fragile, and a sacred island of safety in a great, dark ocean of danger. As long as you stay within the circle of the fire, as long as you can feel its warmth on your face, you are safe. To wander beyond that circle, to step out into the whispering, watchful darkness, is to invite death. You learn this lesson from your very first steps. You learn to respect, with a profound and instinctual fear, the clear and absolute boundary between the world of the light and the world of the dark. The fire is your guardian. It is your sleepless, ever-watchful sentinel. The fire is also the source of all your cooked food. It is the alchemical tool that transforms the raw, the bloody, and the indigestible into the cooked, the nutritious, and the delicious. It is the heat that breaks down the tough sinews of a piece of mammoth meat, making it soft and easy to chew, and releasing its life-giving fats. It is the heat that makes the hard, starchy, and often mildly toxic roots that you gather soft, and sweet, and safe to eat. The smell of roasting meat over the open fire is the smell of a successful hunt. It is the smell of abundance. It is the smell of the continuation of life for another day, another week. The fire is your second stomach, the external organ that predigests the world for you, unlocking the calories that are the fuel of your existence. But the fire is so much more than just a tool for survival. It is the social, the emotional, and the intellectual heart of your family, of your clan. It is here, in the long, dark, and often idle hours of the evening, that your community truly comes into being. The hunters return from the long, exhausting day's chase, their bodies aching, their minds filled with the stories of what they have seen. The women return from their foraging, their baskets filled with roots and with berries, their hands stained with the juices of the earth. The children, like you, tired from a day of play that was also a day of practice, gather close to the warmth, their small bodies seeking the comfort of the flames and of their elders. The day's food is shared. It is distributed according to the complex, unwritten, but deeply understood rules of kinship, of status, and of need. The best, most fatty pieces of meat are given to the great hunters, to the nursing mothers, to the revered elders. This act of sharing is the very glue that holds your society together, and it is here, in the flickering, dancing, and hypnotic light of the fire, that the first human cultures were forged. It is here that the human mind, freed for a few hours from the relentless practical demands of survival, could begin to dream, to remember, and to create. It is here that the first stories were told. There is no written language, no way to record a thought for posterity, but there is narrative, there is performance, there is theater. The hunters, their faces illuminated by the leaping flames, their shadows dancing like giant, ghostly figures on the cave wall behind them, will reenact the events of the day's great hunt. They will not just tell the story, they will become the story. They They will use their whole bodies. They will use hand gestures to describe the size of the bison's horns. They will mimic the movements of the animal, its cautious grazing, its sudden, panicked flight, its final, brave, and tragic stand. They will use a rich and complex vocabulary of sounds, of grunts, of cries, of whistles, to replicate the sounds of the hunt. You watch, your eyes wide with awe, your heart pounding as if you were there. This is your entertainment. This is your education. This is how you learn the secrets of the animals you will one day have to hunt yourself. The elders, the keepers of the tribe's memory, the living libraries of your people, will tell the older, deeper stories. They will tell the stories of the creation of the world, of the great ancient spirits who shaped the mountains and carved the rivers. They will tell the stories of the animal gods, of the great bear spirit, of the wise and cunning raven spirit. They will tell the stories of the great heroes of the long ago past. They will tell the story of how the first fire was stolen from the gods. They will tell the story of how the first spear was invented. These stories are not just for entertainment. They are a powerful and sophisticated technology for the transmission of essential information. They are a kind of oral encyclopedia, a way of passing down the tribe's values, its history, its ethics, its understanding of the cosmos, from one generation to the next. The stories contain the collective wisdom of your people, the lessons learned over thousands of years of survival. They teach you what it means to be a good person, a brave hunter, a loyal member of the clan. And it is here, in the warm, protected space of the firelit cave, that the first art is born. An elder, a shaman, might take a piece of burnt, blackened charcoal from the edge of the fire, and on the smooth, pale, and inviting surface of the limestone wall, he will begin to sketch. With a few, sure, and practiced strokes, he will draw the outline of a bison, of a mammoth, of a horse. The flickering, moving light of the fire makes the images themselves seem to move, to breathe, to come alive. The great, painted animals on the wall seem to dance in the shadows. You learn, in this moment, a profound and revolutionary truth. You learn that a picture can be a story. You learn that a simple, dark mark on a pale surface can have a meaning, that it can represent a real thing in the world outside. You are witnessing the birth of symbolic thought. You are not raised by your mother and your father alone, in the small, isolated unit of a nuclear family. That is a future invention. You are raised by the entire clan. You are a child of the group. The concept of it takes a village to raise a child is not a quaint saying for you. It is a literal, daily reality. Any adult in the clan can discipline you with a sharp word or a light cuff if you misbehave. Any adult can comfort you if you are hurt or scared. Any adult can feed you if you are hungry. If your own mother is busy with a task, another woman, your aunt or your older cousin, a woman who is also nursing her own child, will offer you her breast. If your father is away on a long hunt that might last for weeks, another man, your uncle, will take you under his wing. He will be the one to teach you how to hold a small spear, how to read the tracks in the mud. This communal parenting, this alloparenting, creates a powerful, a resilient, and a deeply interconnected social bond. It ensures that even if you lose your own parents, a common and tragic event in this dangerous world, you will not be an orphan. You will not be abandoned. You will still be cared for. You will still have a place. You will still belong. The third unspoken rule of your childhood, the rule that is absorbed into your very being from the moment of your birth, is that the fire is the center of everything. It is your shield against the physical dangers of the cold and the dark. It is the source of your physical nourishment, and it is the heart of your community, the source of your emotional, your social, and your spiritual nourishment. To be close to the fire is to be alive. To be close to the fire is to be safe. To be close to the fire is to be with your people. To be close to the fire is to be human. As you grow, your world, which was once confined to the immediate, safe, and firelit circle of the cave, and the protective, ever-present arms of your mother, begins to expand with a thrilling and sometimes frightening speed. You are a toddler now, no longer an infant. You are walking on sturdy, calloused, and confident feet. And your true education, your formal initiation into the most fundamental and essential of all human skills, begins. This is not the education of the mind in the abstract sense, a learning of concepts or of doctrines. It is the education of the belly. It is the art of foraging. It is the slow, patient, and deeply intimate process of learning to read the vast, the complex, the beautiful, and the often dangerous landscape as a larder, a great, living, and ever-changing storehouse of food. While the men of your clan, the great hunters, the masters of the spear and the otlotl, might be away for days, for weeks at a time, pursuing the large, the dangerous and the prestigious megafauna like the woolly mammoth, the steppe bison, or the giant deer, the daily, the reliable, and the essential sustenance of your people comes from the patient, the knowledgeable, and the far less glamorous work of the women and the children. The meat from a great hunt is a time of feasting, a time of rare and celebrated abundance, a surge of life-giving fat and protein that sustains the clan. But the roots, the berries, the nuts, the seeds, the greens, the insects, and the small animals gathered by the foraging party are the bedrock of your diet. They are the food that keeps the clan alive during the long, lean, and anxious days between the successful hunts. And it is into this world, the intricate, subtle, and deeply feminine world of the gatherers, that you are now initiated. Your education begins not with instructions, but with observation. You are a small, silent shadow. You follow your mother, your aunts, your grandmother, and your older sisters as they move out from the campsite in a small, chattering, and cooperative group in the cool light of the morning. You are given a small woven grass bag of your own to carry, a symbol of your new role. But your primary job, in these early years, is simply to watch, to listen, and to learn. You learn to walk through the forest, the meadow, and the marsh, not as a single, undifferentiated landscape, but as a complex and layered map of possibilities, a living mosaic of resources. Your mother is your primary teacher. She teaches you to see not just a confusing tangle of green, but a collection of individual and specific plants, each with its own name, its own character, its own story. She teaches you the shapes of the leaves. This one, with its three-part toothed leaf, is the wild strawberry, and it will give you a taste of pure sun-ripened sweetness in the summer. This one, with its shiny waxy leaves and its clusters of beautiful, seductive red berries, is the deadly nightshade. She teaches you its name with a special, serious tone in her voice, and she makes you repeat it. She teaches you that its beauty is a lie, a trap, that to eat it will cause a terrible, burning sickness in the belly, a madness, and then a final, dark sleep from which you will not wake. You learn that the world is a place of both nourishment and of poison, and that the line between them is often thin and subtle. This knowledge is not written in a book. There are no books. It is a vast, a complex, and a living oral encyclopedia, a great library of botanical and zoological information that has been accumulated, refined, and passed down, from mother to daughter, from one generation to the next, for thousands upon thousands of years. It is a knowledge that is born of intimate, daily, and unbroken contact with the natural world. It is a knowledge where a single, careless mistake could be fatal. You learn by direct, physical imitation. Your mother stops. She has seen something. She points to a small, unassuming plant with broad, flat leaves. She uses her digging stick, a simple, straight branch of a hardwood like yew or ash, its points sharpened and then hardened in the embers of the fire, until it is as tough as iron. She begins to dig into the hard, packed earth. You watch her. You see the kind of soil she looks for, the slight depression in the ground that hints at what lies beneath. You see the precise shape of the leaves of the plant she is seeking, and you, with your own small, clumsy hands, begin to dig alongside her with a smaller, softer stick of your own. Let us consider the sheer, wonderful variety of the food you are learning to find, the catalogue of your wild larder. First, there are the roots and the tubers, the hidden, underground storehouses of energy that are the great staple of your diet. You learn to recognize the humble but life-sustaining cattail, the plant with the brown sausage-like head that grows in the marshy, wet areas by the river. Your mother shows you how to pull up its long, thick roots, its rhizomes. These roots, when washed and dried, can be pounded between two stones into a rich, starchy flour. A flour that can be mixed with water and cooked on a hot stone to make a simple, nourishing bread. You learn to find the wild carrots and the wild parsnips. They are smaller, thinner, and more bitter than their modern, domesticated descendants, but they are still a vital and welcome source of energy and sweetness. You learn to find the starchy roots of the bracken fern, a plant that is poisonous when raw, but which becomes safe and nutritious after it has been roasted for a long time in the hot embers of the fire. This is another vital lesson. That fire is not just for warmth. It is a tool for transformation, a way to unlock the hidden nutrition in the world, to turn poison into food, Then there are the leafy greens, the fresh, vitamin-rich foods of the spring and summer. You learn to pick the young, tender leaves of the stinging nettle, a plant that is a painful enemy when touched, but a generous friend when treated with respect. Your mother shows you how to pick the leaves without being stung, how to handle them with care. She shows you how, when they are boiled in the pottage pot, they lose their sting completely and provide a rich, nutritious green, a welcome taste of spring after a long, lean winter. You learn to find the wild sorrel, with its sharp, clean, and intensely lemony taste. You learn to find the wild garlic, its pungent, spicy leaves a welcome addition to a bland meal of boiled roots. And you learn about the mushrooms, the strange, fleshy, and mysterious children of the damp earth. Your education in mushrooms is the most serious and the most rigorous of all. You learn, with absolute and unwavering certainty, which ones are safe to eat. The great, fleshy, and delicious cep or porcini that sprouts from the ground beneath the oak trees. The delicate, golden chanterelle with its apricot-like smell. The strange, honeycomb-like morel that appears in the spring. And you learn, with a deep and profound, instinctual fear, which ones are the brightly colored, the beautiful, the alluring messengers of a swift and an agonizing death. The beautiful, blood-red fly agaric with its white spots. The mushroom of the shamans, a mushroom that can bring visions, but also madness and death. The elegant, pale, and utterly lethal destroying angel. Your mother will point to these, her voice low and serious. She will tell you their names, and she will tell you to never, ever touch them. Then there are the nuts and the seeds, the concentrated packages of fat and protein that are the great prize of the autumn foraging season. You learn to recognize the season for the hazelnuts, gathering them from the low, spreading hazel trees in the understory of the forest. You learn to crack their hard shells with a special, pitted hammerstone. You learn the joy of eating the sweet, oily nut within. You learn to gather the acorns, the fruit of the great, sacred oak trees. Acorns are a vital, abundant, and storable source of fat and protein, but they are inedible when raw. They are filled with bitter, mouth-puckering tannins. You watch, and you help, as the women of your clan process them. They are shelled, and the nuts are ground into a coarse meal. This meal is then placed in a woven bag and submerged for days in the cold, clear, running water of the stream. The flowing water slowly leaches out the bitterness, carrying the tannins away, and making the acorn meal sweet, nutty, and safe to eat. It is a slow, patient, and ingenious piece of Stone Age chemistry. You learn to gather the tiny seeds of the tall grasses that grow at the edge of the forest, beating the seed heads against the inside of a wide, shallow basket, a small but precious and nutritious harvest of wild grain. There are the fruits and the berries, the sweet, joyful, and ephemeral treats of the summer. You learn the location of the best patches of sweet, wild strawberries that grow low to the ground in the sun-drenched clearings. You learn to navigate the thorny, aggressive brambles to reach the dark, juicy, and perfect blackberries. You learn the sour but refreshing taste of the wild crab apples, and the tart, astringent flavor of the sloes from the blackthorn bush, a fruit that becomes sweet only after the first frost of winter. You learn that the sweetest and the safest fruits are often the ones that the birds are also eating, a valuable and life-saving lesson in interspecies cooperation. And then there is the animal world, the world of small, slow, and easily captured protein, the world that bridges the gap between the gathering of the women and the great hunting of the men. You learn to look for the nests of the ground-nesting birds, the grouse and the partridge, to carefully take some, but never all, of the beautiful speckled eggs, a perfect, self-contained, and nutrient-rich meal. You learn to find the edible snails that cling to the damp undersides of rocks and logs after a rain. You learn to catch the slow, fat, and protein-rich caterpillars that feast on the leaves of the trees. And you learn, without any sense of disgust, for it is simply food, that the fat, white, and pulpy grubs of the stag beetle that live in rotting logs are a delicious high-energy food, especially when skewered on a stick and roasted in the embers of the fire, until they are crispy on the outside and soft and creamy on the inside. Insects are a vital, a reliable, and an important part of your diet. Your first and most important tools are your own hands, your own senses, and a simple woven bag or a basket that your mother has made for you from river grasses or from thin, flexible withes of willow. As you grow older and more skilled, you are entrusted with your own digging stick. It is a simple tool, a straight, stout branch of a hardwood like yew or ash, its point sharpened with a flint scraper, and then carefully, patiently hardened in the embers of the fire. This is your personal tool. It is your key to the hidden, underground larder of the earth. You carry it with a sense of pride and of responsibility. This life of foraging is not a romantic, idyllic, and leisurely stroll through the woods. It is hard, patient, and often unrewarding work. It requires an immense amount of knowledge, of memory, of keen observation, and of sheer physical endurance. You might walk for many miles in a single day, your eyes constantly scanning the landscape, from the forest floor to the tops of the trees, for the subtle signs of food. The work is also dangerous. The forest is home not just to edible plants and to friendly animals. It is home to predators. A wolf pack, a great cave bear emerging from its den, a venomous snake basking on a sunlit rock. The foraging party, composed mostly of women and of children, is a vulnerable group. They must be constantly on alert. They work together. They communicate with the complex language of soft calls and of hand signals. Their ears and their eyes constantly tuned to the sounds and the movements of the forest. You also learn, through the quiet example of your mother and the other women, the ethics of foraging. You learn the unspoken rules of a sustainable and a respectful life. You learn never to take all the roots from a single patch of plants. You always leave some behind, so that the plant can grow again next year, so that it can continue to feed your people in the years to come. You learn not to take all the eggs from a nest, to leave some for the mother bird, to ensure the continuation of her own kind. You learn to understand your place in the great, intricate web of life, not as a master of the natural world, but as a humble and a grateful participant within it. You are a part of the landscape, and the landscape is a part of you. The forest is your garden, but it is a garden that belongs to itself. The fourth unspoken rule of your childhood is that the world is your garden, but it is a garden that must be understood with a profound, a deep, and a respectful intimacy. It is a garden that offers you sustenance, that offers you life, but it is also a garden that contains hidden dangers, subtle poisons, and powerful, unpredictable spirits. Your education as a forager is an education in the fundamental, intertwined realities of life and of death, of nourishment and of poison, of community and of survival. It is the most important and the most essential education you will ever receive. As you grow from a small child, a toddler of the foraging party, a quiet and watchful shadow at your mother's side, you enter a new and exciting stage of your life. You are a youth now, on the long and often difficult cusp of adolescence. Your body is growing stronger, your mind more curious, your understanding of the world more complex. You have learned the sensory language of the landscape, the secrets of the plants, and the habits of the small creatures. Now, you must begin to learn the other great, defining art of your people, the art that truly separates you from all the other animals with whom you share this world. You must learn to be a maker. You must learn to be a user. You must learn to be a master of tools. In the world of the Stone Age child, the line that we draw between the world of work and the world of play is a thin, a blurry, and an often non-existent one. Your childhood is not a period of protected, carefree leisure, a separate walled-off garden of games and of pure, unproductive imagination. Your play is your practice. Your games are your training. Every single activity that you engage in, from the mock hunts you stage with your friends, to the simple, humble objects you create with your own small hands, is designed, either consciously or unconsciously, to teach you the essential, the practical, and the life or death skills that you will need to become a competent and a respected adult member of your clan. Let us first consider the world of the boys. From a very young age, as soon as you are able to walk and to run with confidence, you are drawn, as if by an irresistible magnetic force, into the orbit of the men. You sit at the feet of your father, of your uncles, of your older brothers, at the edge of the campsite, in the designated space where the serious, and often dangerous, work of men is done. And for long periods of time, your primary job is simply to watch. You watch, for hours, for days, for weeks, for years, the magical, the mysterious, and the transformative process of making a stone tool. This is the art of flint knapping. It is the defining, the foundational technology of your age. It is an art that has been practiced and refined by your people for hundreds of thousands of years. Your father, a master of this art, will take a large, smooth, and heavy nodule of flint, a hard, grey, and cryptocrystalline stone that he has traveled for many miles to find at a special, sacred quarry site. He He will hold it in the palm of one hand, which is protected by a thick piece of leather. In his other hand, he holds a hammerstone, a hard, rounded, and perfectly weighted piece of quartzite, a tool that he has used for so long that it seems to be an extension of his own arm. And with a series of precise, powerful, and incredibly skilled blows, he will begin to shape the raw flint, with each sharp, perfectly aimed strike of the hammerstone against the edge of the flint core. A flake of stone, as sharp as a piece of surgical steel, is detached. It is a process of controlled, of intelligent, and of beautiful destruction. It is a process of removing what is not needed to reveal the perfect, functional form of the tool that lies hidden, like a spirit, within the raw stone. You watch his hands with an intense and unwavering focus. You see the way he holds the stone, the exact angle at which he strikes it to control the shape and the size of the flake that is removed. You hear the sharp, clean, and ringing crack of a successful strike, and you learn to distinguish it from the dull, unsatisfying thud of a misplaced or a poorly aimed blow. You learn, through this long apprenticeship of observation, the different types of tools that he is creating from the same raw material. You learn to recognize the large, the heavy, the teardrop-shaped hand axe, the great all-purpose tool of your people, the Swiss Army knife of the Paleolithic. It is used for the heavy work of butchering the great animals, for chopping through thick bones, for chopping wood, for digging in the hard earth. You learn to recognize the long, the thin, the elegant flint blade, a tool that can be struck from a prepared core with a single, perfect blow. Its edge is so sharp it can slice through the thick hide of a bison as if it were cloth. It is the tool used for the fine work of cutting meat and of skinning an animal. You learn to recognize the small, the sturdy, the sharp-edged scrapers, the tools used by the women for the long and patient work of cleaning the fat and the flesh from the inside of an animal's skin to prepare it for tanning. Each tool has its purpose. Each tool has its own specific, perfect, and time-honored shape and form. And then, after years of watching, you begin to practice. You are not given the precious, high-quality flint that your father has carried back from the quarry. That is far too valuable to be wasted on a clumsy beginner. You are given the discarded flakes, the waste material from the men's work. Your first hammerstone is a simple, heavy pebble from the riverbed, and you begin, with a mixture of excitement and of trepidation, to imitate the men. Your first attempts are clumsy, are frustrating, are painful. You miss the edge of the stone. You strike your own hand, your own leg. Your fingers and your knuckles are a constant map of small, bleeding cuts and of deep, purple bruises. The flakes you manage to strike off are thick, are crude, are useless. But slowly, patiently, through endless, mindless, and yet deeply focused repetition, you begin to learn. Your body begins to learn. Your hands begin to understand. You learn the feel of the stone. You learn how to read its internal structure, its hidden lines of force. You learn how to predict how it will break. You learn to make your own small, crude, but functional tools. Your first, misshapen but usable scraper is a source of immense, almost overwhelming pride. You have taken a dead, useless piece of stone, a piece of the earth, and you have, through your own skill, your own intention, your own hacker, transformed it into a useful, functional object. You have learned the central, transformative magic of your people. Your play, the games you engage in with the other boys of the clan, is a direct, a constant, and a joyful imitation of the adult world that you so desperately want to join. You and the other boys will stage elaborate, noisy, and chaotic mock hunts. You are not, of course, given the real, precious, and incredibly dangerous spears with their razor-sharp flint points. Your first spears are simple, straight branches of ash or of yew, their points sharpened with a flint scraper, and then carefully, patiently hardened in the hot embers of the campfire, until they are as tough and as sharp as a piece of antler. With these simple, fire-hardened spears, you hunt the other children. You play games of chase, of ambush, of tracking. You learn to move silently through the woods. You learn to work as a team, to flank your prey, to drive them towards a waiting ambush. You also practice throwing at a target, a large clump of moss on the side of a tree, or a piece of bark floating in the river. You learn the complex, whole-body mechanics of the throw. You learn the feel of the spear in your hand, its weight, its balance. You learn how to put the power of your legs, your hips, and your shoulders into the motion to achieve the greatest possible force and accuracy. You learn to make and to use the great, revolutionary piece of hunting technology that defines your people, the otlotol, the spear thrower. This is a simple but ingenious device. It is a length of wood or of antler, with a handle at one end and a small, sharp hook at the other. This hook engages the base of the spear. The otlot acts as a lever, an extension of your throwing arm. By launching the spear with the otlotl, you can throw it with a force, a velocity, and a range that is simply impossible with the bare arm alone. It is a weapon that is a great force multiplier. It is a weapon that allows a small, a weak, and a slow human being to hunt the largest, the most powerful, and the most dangerous animals on Earth from a relatively safe distance. You make your own small, child-sized atlatls from pieces of wood, and you spend endless, happy hours in the fields and the meadows, practicing. You have competitions with your friends to see who can throw the farthest, whose spear can fly the straightest. This is not just a game, it is your military training, it is your ballistic education, it is your direct and essential preparation for your future, and most important, role as a hunter, as a provider, and as a protector of your clan. And what of the girls? Their world of play, their world of learning, is different, but it is no less important, no less demanding, no less essential for the survival of the group. Their play, too, is a direct and a constant preparation for the complex and highly skilled roles they will inhabit as adult women. You and the other girls of the clan do not play with spears and with atlators. You play with the tools and the materials of the domestic world, the world of the gatherer, the nurturer, the maker, and the transformer. You learn the ancient and profoundly important art of weaving, not on a great, complex loom, but with the simple, humble, and readily available materials of the landscape. You gather the long, the strong, the flexible grasses from the riverside. You learn to twist them, to plait them, to coil them, to weave them into a small, a functional, and a beautiful basket. Your first baskets are loose, are uneven, are clumsy, but with practice, your fingers become nimble, sure, and quick. You learn the different weaves for different purposes. You learn to create a strong, a sturdy, and a tightly woven vessel that can be used to carry the heavy roots and the delicate berries that you gather with your mother. You learn to create a beautiful object that is also a vital piece of technology. You'll learn to make cordage, one of the most essential, the most versatile, and the most underrated technologies of the entire Stone Age. You take the strong, fibrous inner bark of the lime tree, or the tough, resilient stems of the stinging nettle plant, which have been wetted in water to soften them. You learn to twist these fine fibers together, rolling them against your thigh, again and again, joining new fibers as you go, to create a strong, a durable, and an incredibly useful piece of string. This simple, humble piece of string is the invisible thread that holds your entire technological world together. This cordage is used for everything. It is used to bind the sharp flint spear point to the wooden spear shaft. It is used to make the nets for catching fish in the river and for trapping birds in the forest. It is used to string a bow. It is used to make the carrying slings for infants. It is used to string a beautiful necklace of pierced seashells or of polished animal teeth. To be able to make a simple, strong piece of string from the plants of the forest is to be a master of a fundamental and a revolutionary technology. You play at being a mother. You are not given a carved and painted doll from a craftsman's workshop. Your doll might be a smooth, a rounded, and a pleasingly shaped stone from the river, which you carefully wrap in a precious scrap of soft rabbit fur. It might be a simple, abstract figure that you model yourself from the damp, cool clay of the riverbank, its form more suggestive than realistic. You carry this doll with you everywhere. You create a small carrying sling for it. You cradle it. You sing to it the same soft humming lullabies that your mother sings to you. You protect it. In doing so, you are not just playing a simple game. You are practicing the gestures, the emotions, the language, and the deep, abiding responsibilities of motherhood. You are learning the most important and the most sacred role you will ever have: the creation, the nurturing, and the protection of the next generation. You learn the intimate geography of your own body, and of the bodies of the animals that sustain you. When a great hunt is successful, and a deer, or a bison, or a wild horse is brought back to the camp, it is a time of immense excitement, of communal celebration, and of intense, practical learning. You watch, with a mixture of fascination and of reverence, as the women butcher the great animal with their razor-sharp flint blades. You learn the names and the locations of the different organs. You learn which parts, like the liver and the heart, are to be eaten first, as they are rich in vital nutrients and will spoil quickly. You learn which parts, like the long bones, are to be cracked open for their rich, life-giving marrow. You learn which parts, like the tough, elastic sinews, are to be saved and dried to be made into cordage. You learn how to use a flint scraper to clean the hide, to remove every last scrap of flesh and of fat. The first and most important step in the long and smelly process of tanning the hide to make leather. This bloody hands-on and visceral experience is your first and most important lesson in anatomy, in biology, in the very mechanics of life and of death. The fifth unspoken rule of your childhood is that there is no real distinction between what is useful and what is fun. Play is the sacred and essential work of a child. It is the school of the Stone Age. It is the great, informal university of survival. Through your games, through your constant, joyful imitations of the adult world, through the small, simple, and beautiful things that you create with your own hands, you are not just passing the time, you are inheriting, in the most direct and embodied way possible, the accumulated, hard-won wisdom of your people. You are becoming a competent, a skilled, a knowledgeable, and a valuable member of your clan. You are learning, step by step, how to be a fully realized and a fully capable human being. You are a boy on the long and often anxious cusp of manhood. You have spent the long seasons of your childhood in a world of constant, unconscious practice, in a world of play that was a direct and serious rehearsal for the real thing. You have mastered the small, fire-hardened spear, the child-sized otlatau. You have learned to move with a quiet and watchful confidence through the landscape. You have learned to read the subtle story told by a broken twig, a faint track in the mud, the distant call of a bird. You have sat at the feet of the old men, and you have listened to the stories of the great hunts of the past. Your imagination filled with images of giant beasts and of heroic, courageous men. And now, after years of waiting, of watching, of practicing, the day has finally come. You were deemed old enough, strong enough, skilled enough, and perhaps most importantly, patient and quiet enough to join the men. You were to be a witness to, and a small, humble participant in, the great hunt. This is not just another foraging trip. This is the central, the defining, and the most dangerous drama of your people's existence. It is the great, sacred institution that provides the most precious of all resources, the meat that builds muscle, the fat that provides energy and warmth, the hide that becomes clothing and shelter, and the bone and antler that are transformed into tools and into art. And it is the crucible, the trial by fire, in which a boy is forged into a man. The hunt does not begin with a sudden, impulsive rush out of the camp. It begins with days of careful, of meticulous, and of deeply spiritual preparation. It begins with a ritual of quiet, focused intention. The hunters, the mature, experienced men of your clan, will gather. They will leave the bright, noisy, and domestic space of the main camp, and will descend into the deepest, most remote, most silent, and most sacred parts of your people's great limestone cave. These are the places that you, as a child, have always been forbidden to enter. These are not living spaces. They are narrow, winding, and often dangerous passages. Some so small you would have to crawl on your hands and knees through the cold, damp mud. They lead deep into the body of the earth, far from the light of the sun, far from the warmth of the communal fire, into a world of absolute silence and of profound, eternal darkness. These are the secret places. These are the sanctuaries. And now, for the first time, the shaman, the spiritual leader of your clan, the man who can walk between the worlds, will lead you and the other hunters there. You follow him, your heart a tight knot of excitement, of reverence, and of a deep, instinctual fear. You carry a small, simple lamp, a hollowed-out piece of soft sandstone, its shallow bowl filled with rendered bison fat, a wick of dried moss floating in it. Its small, smoky, and sputtering flame is your only light, your only point of reference, in the absolute, crushing, and disorienting blackness of this underworld. The air in the deep cave is cold, is still, is heavy. It smells of damp stone, of wet clay, and of something else, something ancient and sacred. The only sound is the slow, patient, and rhythmic drip, drip, drip of water, seeping through the limestone ceiling, each drop echoing in the vast, silent chamber. It is a sound that has echoed in this exact place for thousands upon thousands of years. It is the slow, patient heartbeat of the earth itself. The shaman leads you to a great, vaulted, hidden chamber. And here, in the flickering, dancing, and utterly magical light of your tallow lamps, you see them, the paintings, the great secret and sacred art of your people. The walls of the cave, the undulating, living surfaces of the rock, are covered with them. Great, magnificent, powerful, and breathtakingly lifelike images of the animals that dominate your world. The great beasts that are both your sustenance and your gods. You see a herd of wild horses. Their mane is flowing, their bodies taut and muscular, their legs in a position of full gallop, seeming to thunder silently across the rock. You see a great woolly mammoth, its shaggy brown coat rendered with fine incised lines, its huge, curving tusks seeming to project out of the wall, its small, intelligent eye seeming to watch you. You see a herd of steppe bison, their massive shoulders and their dark, powerful, and knowing eyes seeming to hold a deep and ancient wisdom. And you see the other, more dangerous creatures. A cave lion, its body long and sleek, its mouth open in a silent roar. A great, black cave bear, rising up on its hind legs, a figure of immense and terrifying power. And there are other, stranger things. Abstract symbols, patterns of red and black dots, grids of lines, and strange claviform, key-like shapes, a secret symbolic language that you do not yet understand. And there are the handprints, dozens of them, stenciled onto the wall in a great, overlapping cloud of red and of black. A person, an ancestor from the long, long ago past, had placed their hand flat against the cold rock and had blown a fine, wet spray of powdered ochre pigment, likely from their own mouth, through a hollow bone around it. The result is a perfect, ghostly, and deeply personal negative image of their presence. It is a signature. It is a mark of connection. It is a declaration that echoes through the ages. I was here. I touched this world. The art is not crude. It is not primitive. It is a work of profound skill, of keen observation, and of deep artistic mastery. The artists, your ancestors, were not just hunters. They were naturalists and mystics of the highest order. They have used the natural, the flowing, the undulating contours of the cave wall itself to give their animals a sense of three-dimensional life, of movement, of breath. A natural, rounded bulge in the rock becomes the powerful muscular shoulder of a bison. A natural crack in the stone becomes the line of its back. A small, concave depression in the wall becomes a perfect, soulful eye. The colors are rich, are deep, are earthy. The vibrant, life-giving reds, the warm, sunny yellows, and the rich, earthy browns are made from ochre, a natural iron oxide clay, a gift from the earth itself. The hunters have mined this ochre from special, sacred places, and they have ground it into a fine, silky powder between two stones. The deep, velvety, and mysterious blacks are made from manganese dioxide, a black, metallic ore, or from the simple, humble charcoal taken from the sacred fire. These powdered pigments were then mixed with a binder, a liquid medium to turn the powder into a durable paint. The binder might be simple cave water, rich in dissolved calcite that would help the paint adhere to the wall. It might be animal fat, or blood, or egg white, or even human saliva. This paint was then applied to the wall with a variety of tools, with simple brushes made from animal hair or from chewed twigs, with pads of moss or of fur, or it was blown through a hollow bird bone to create a fine, delicate, and ethereal spray of color. You look at these images in a state of profound and speechless awe. You understand, with a deep, intuitive, and pre-verbal certainty, that this is not just a gallery of pictures. This is not art for art's sake. This is a place of immense and active power. This is a place where the world of the physical and the world of the spirits meet and interpenetrate. The shaman begins to chant, his voice low, deep, and rhythmic, the sound echoing and amplifying in the great, silent, and resonant chamber. He tells you the stories of these paintings. He tells you that these are not just pictures of animals. They are the living spirits of the animals themselves. This cave, this deep, dark, and secret place, is the womb of the world. This is where the master of the animals, the great, singular spirit, who is the source of all the game, resides. He tells you that this is a place of creation, a place where the animal spirits are born, seeming to emerge, fully formed, from the deep cracks and the dark fissures in the cave wall itself. And it is a place of magic. It is a place of doing. The rituals that are performed in this sacred space, the chanting, the drumming, the dancing, the painting itself, not just a performance. They are a way of ensuring the success of the hunt. They are a way of guaranteeing the fertility and the abundance of the great herds. They are a way of maintaining the delicate, the essential, and the often fragile balance between your world, the world of the hunters, and the world of the animals. The hunted, the painting of a new bison on the wall, is not just an act of creative expression. It is an act of magical procreation, a powerful ritual to ensure that there will be more bison in the world outside, that your people will continue to be fed. The hunters anoint their spears with the sacred red ochre. They might kill the painted animals on the wall, symbolically thrusting their spears at the heart and the lungs of the great images, a form of sympathetic magic to ensure a true and accurate strike in the real world. This is not a game. This is a deadly, serious, and absolutely essential spiritual preparation. It is an act of asking the animal spirits for their permission, for their willing sacrifice. It is an act of aligning the will of the hunters with the will of the world. You watch this, your small lamp casting a flickering light, your heart filled with a mixture of a profound awe and a deep, existential terror. The hunt itself is an expedition. The hunting party, perhaps 5 or 6 of the clan's most experienced and respected men, will leave the main camp. They will take with them only what they need: their long, heavy spears with their newly sharpened flint points, their atlatls, their flint knives for butchering, and a small amount of dried food and water in skin bags. And you go with them. You are not yet a hunter. You are an apprentice, a carrier. Your job is to carry the extra spears, to help gather firewood for the nightly camp, to help make and repair the tools. But your most important job is to stay silent, to stay out of the way, and to watch. You travel for days, deep into the wild, into territories that you have never seen before, into a world that is colder, that is harsher, that is vaster, and that is grander than our own. This is the Pleistocene. The great continental ice sheets, a legacy of the deep ice age, are a distant, glittering, and permanent presence on the northern horizon. The landscape is a vast, open, and windswept tundra, a treeless plain of tough grasses, of lichens, and of low, hardy shrubs. And this plain is teeming with a menagerie of giant, and now extinct, animals, the great megafauna. You see them from a distance, and you are filled with a sense of wonder and of your own profound insignificance. You see a family of woolly mammoths, their great, curved, ivory tusks sweeping the snow as they search for buried grasses, their shaggy brown coats like moving, living hills. You see a herd of giant Irish elk. Their antlers are vast and intricate, and an impossibly large branching forest on their heads. You see a solitary woolly rhinoceros, its head low, its demeanor one of sullen, implacable power. And you see the predators that hunt these great beasts, a pride of huge cave lions, larger and more powerful than any modern lion. Their coats a pale tawny color, sunning themselves on a rocky outcrop. A great pack of huge dire wolves, their eyes intelligent, yellow, and hungry. This is a world of giants. And you, a small, a slow, a soft-skinned human, are a fragile and an insignificant creature in this landscape. Your only advantage is your mind, your ability to cooperate, and your simple, but deadly, tools. The hunters have a target. They have been tracking a great herd of steppe bison, powerful, shaggy beasts with long, sharp horns and a massive hump of muscle on their shoulders. The tracking itself is a profound art, a science of subtle observation. The lead hunter, an old and experienced man, reads the landscape like a living book. He sees the faint, almost invisible prints of the hooves in the hard, frozen earth. He sees the bent and broken blades of grass. He feels the warmth of a fresh pile of dung with his bare hand and knows, with an uncanny certainty, how close the herd is, and which way they are moving. Finally, they are found. The hunters do not simply rush in with a great shout. That would be suicide. The bison is a fast, a powerful, a surprisingly agile, and an incredibly dangerous animal. A direct frontal assault would be a disaster. The hunt is a game of strategy, of patience, of deep, intuitive psychology. It is a game of exploiting the animal's own nature and the natural features of the landscape. The hunters have found a place that they can use. It is a narrow ravine, a deep, steep-sided gully that cuts through the open plain. This will be their trap. The plan is a complex, a silent, and a perfectly coordinated effort. Several of the hunters, including you, are sent on a wide, circling maneuver, moving carefully and quietly downwind from the herd, so that they will not catch your scent. Your job is to create a disturbance, a line of pressure, to drive the herd, slowly, carefully, and without causing a full-blown panic, towards the hidden mouth of the ravine. You light torches from a carefully nurtured ember. You shout, you beat your spears against the ground. The bison creatures of herd instinct and of predictable panic begin to move, away from the noise, away from the fire, towards what they perceive to be the safety of the open plain. The other, most experienced hunters are hidden, are waiting, their bodies pressed flat against the ground at the very edge of the ravine. As the panicked herd thunders towards them, they leap up at the last possible second, shouting, waving their arms, a sudden, terrifying, and unexpected wall of human presence. The lead animals, the great bulls, caught by surprise, try to turn, to swerve, but the immense unstoppable pressure of the rest of the herd behind them is too great. They are pushed, inexorably, over the edge. They tumble, bellowing, down the steep, rocky sides of the ravine, their legs breaking under their immense weight, their bodies crushed by the ones that fall on top of them. Now the real, the intimate, and the most dangerous work begins. The hunters descend into the ravine, their long, heavy, and flint-tipped spears held ready. The narrow floor of the gully is a chaos of thrashing horns, of kicking hooves, of terrified, bellowing, and mortally wounded animals. The hunters work as a team, with a silent, practiced, and deeply courageous efficiency. They move in quickly, isolating a single animal, and they make their kill, thrusting their spears deep into the vital organs, into the great, pumping heart, and the soft, vulnerable lungs. It is a scene of incredible, shocking violence, of breathtaking bravery, of hot, steaming blood, and yet, it is also a scene of a deep, almost religious respect for the great and powerful animal that they are killing. Your role in all of this is small but essential. You are a bystander, but you are a witness. You see the incredible courage of the men. You see their skill, their teamwork, their intimate, practical knowledge of the animal's anatomy. You see the moment when the great, wild, and powerful life of the beast fades from its eyes, and you feel a profound and a complex mixture of emotions, terror, excitement, and a deep, somber, and overwhelming sense of gratitude for the life that has been given so that your people can continue to live. The aftermath of the hunt is a frenzy of hard, bloody, and urgent work. The carcasses must be butchered quickly, before the scent of the blood attracts the wolves and the lions. You watch, and you help, as the men use their razor-sharp flint knives to skin the great animals. The heavy, shaggy, and blood-soaked hides are removed with a practiced skill. The meat is cut from the bones in huge, manageable slabs. The precious, life-giving organs, liver, the heart, the kidneys are set aside, to be eaten first, raw, as they are rich in the vitamins that are so scarce in your diet. Nothing is wasted. The long, heavy bones will be carried back to the camp, to be broken open with a hammerstone for their rich, creamy, and life-sustaining marrow. The tough, elastic sinews will be carefully removed and saved, to be dried and processed into the cordage that is the thread of your technology. The horns and the hooves will be used to make tools. The bison has given your people everything. Its body will feed you, it will clothe you, it will arm you. The journey back to the main camp is a slow, a difficult, and a triumphant procession. The men are laden with as much fresh meat and hide as they can possibly carry. As you approach the familiar site of the cave, a great shout of joy and of relief goes up from the camp. You are greeted as heroes, and that night there is a great feast. The fire is built high, a roaring, celebratory bonfire that lights up the entire cave. The air is filled with the rich, the delicious, and the deeply satisfying smell of roasting meat. It is filled with the sound of the hide drum, of singing, of chanting, of laughter. You, the boy who has just witnessed his first great hunt, are given a place of honor by the fire. You are given a piece of the roasted bison heart to eat by the lead hunter. In that moment, as you eat the sacred meat, you have crossed a profound and an invisible threshold. You are no longer just a child. You have taken your first momentous step into the world of men. You have witnessed the great, the sacred, and the violent covenant between the hunter and the hunted that lies at the very heart of your people's existence. You have seen where your life comes from, as you lie by the warm, breathing embers of the dying fire, wrapped in your thick and comforting fur skins. The world of the day begins its slow and gentle retreat. the world of the hunt, with its sharp, adrenaline-fueled moments of terror and of triumph, the world of the foraging party, with its patient, observational rhythms, the world of the practical, sunlit business of survival. All of it dissolves, like mist in the morning, and a different world, a world that is just as real, just as important, and far more mysterious, begins to emerge from the shadows. This is the world of the night, it is the world of sleep, and it is the world of the spirits. For the Stone Age child, for your people, sleep is not simply a state of biological unconsciousness, a necessary and empty pause between one day and the next. It is a journey, it is a departure from the heavy, solid, and familiar reality of the physical body into another realm, a realm where the rules of time, of space, and of possibility are entirely different. The world of dreams is not a fantasy, it is a place. It is a landscape that is just as real and as significant as the physical landscape you walk through during the day. It is a place where you can fly like the great eagle, where you can breathe underwater like the salmon, where you can speak with the animals in their own silent language, and where you can meet and converse with the spirits of the ancestors, the great and ancient dead of your clan. The stories that the shaman, the master of the spirits, tells around the campfire are not just fictions, not just entertaining tales. They are accounts of his travels. They are the field notes of a spiritual explorer. They are descriptions of the things he has seen, of the beings he has met, of the journeys he has taken. In the great, deep sleep of the trance, a state of consciousness that is even deeper and more profound than the ordinary dream. Your own dreams, as a child, are a vital and an essential part of your education. You dream of the great steppe bison that you saw on your first hunt. In your dream, the bison is not an enemy. It is a teacher. It turns its great shaggy head towards you, and it looks at you with its dark, ancient, and intelligent eyes. It speaks to you, not with words, but with a language of pure thought, of pure feeling. It teaches you its ways. It shows you the secret paths it takes through the landscape. It shows you the best places to find water. It shows you how to read the signs of an approaching storm. You dream of a path through the dense, dark forest that you have never walked before. And when you wake, you might tell your father of this dream, and he will take you out into the forest, and you will find that very path leading to a hidden spring or a new and rich patch of berry bushes. Your dreams are a source of practical, life-saving knowledge. They are a form of prophecy. They are a direct and a living connection to the deeper, unseen, and intelligent world that lies just behind the thin and shimmering veil of the physical. This belief in a vibrant, a conscious, and a living spirit world shapes your entire understanding of reality. You do not live in a world of inert, inanimate, and meaningless objects. You live in a world where everything is alive, where everything has a spirit, a consciousness, an intention, a will of its own. This is the worldview that we now call animism. It is the ancient foundational religion of all humankind. The great, ancient, and slow-moving river that flows through your valley is not just a body of water, a collection of hydrogen and oxygen molecules. It is a living, breathing, and often moody entity. It is a powerful spirit, a great serpent god that can give life by providing you with fish to eat and with water to drink, or it can take life by flooding its banks in a sudden, violent, and unpredictable rage. You do not simply take water from the river, you ask the river for its gift. You make a small offering, a smooth, beautiful pebble, a handful of precious ochre, dropped into its current, a gesture of respect, of gratitude, and of appeasement. The great, gnarled, and ancient oak tree that stands alone on the top of the hill is not just a piece of wood, a collection of cellulose. It is the home of a powerful, a wise, and an ancient tree spirit. It is a being that has stood in that very spot for a time far longer than the oldest memories of your oldest elders. It has watched your people come and go for generations. It is a silent, a patient, and a powerful witness to your history. Before taking a branch from this tree for firewood, or for the shaft of a spear, your father will perform a small ritual. He will place his hand on its rough, furrowed bark. He will speak to the tree in a low and respectful voice. He will ask for its permission. He will explain why he needs the wood, and he will thank the tree for its gift. This is not a quaint superstition. It is a profound act of respect. It is a recognition of the tree's sovereignty, of its right to exist, of its personhood. The animals, too, are not just a source of food, a walking larder of meat and of hide. They are other peoples. They are other nations, with their own societies, their own languages, their own customs, their own powerful spirits. They are your brothers, your sisters, your cousins in the great, extended family of life. The great cave bear, who sleeps through the winter in the deepest, darkest caves, is a wise and a powerful chief, a master of the secrets of the underworld and of the dream time. The wolf, who hunts in a cooperative and intelligent pack, is a model of the perfect hunter, a teacher of the arts of teamwork and of strategy. The salmon, who vanishes into the great, salty sea and then miraculously returns, year after year, to the very stream where it was born, is a messenger from the world beneath the water, a symbol of sacrifice, of renewal, and of eternal return. When your people hunt and kill a deer, it is a sacred and a deeply significant act. The spirit of the deer, you are taught, has willingly and generously given its physical body to you so that you and your family can live. And so, the body of the deer, this sacred gift, must be treated with the utmost respect and reverence. The butchering is done with a kind of ritual care. The best parts of the animal might be offered first to the spirits. A piece of the liver placed on the fire, its smoke rising to the heavens as a fragrant offering of thanks. The bones are not just thrown away onto a rubbish heap. They might be carefully gathered, scraped clean, and then placed in a special sacred part of the cave. Or they might be returned to the forest and placed in the branches of a tree, so that the spirit of the deer, the anima, can be properly released, can return to the great master of the animals, and can be reborn into a new body. This is the great, sacred, and unspoken covenant between the hunter and the hunted, a profound and a beautiful cycle of life, of death, and of regeneration that binds you and the animal world together, in a relationship not of domination, but of mutual respect and of deep existential dependence. And then there are the spirits of your own people, the spirits of the ancestors. Death, in your world, is not a final, terrifying ending. It is a transformation. It is a journey. It is a migration of the soul, from this world, the world of the living, to another, equally real world, a spirit world that is a mirror of your own, a land of eternal, sunlit hunting grounds where the game is always plentiful. When a member of your clan dies, their body is treated with a profound and a loving care, with a deep and a meticulous reverence. They are not simply abandoned to the predators or to the elements, they are buried, and the act of burial is a powerful, a practical, and a deeply symbolic statement of belief. Let us imagine the death of an elder, a wise old woman who was the keeper of the clan's stories, the living library of your people. Her body, now frail and still, is washed. It is then painted, with great care, with a thick, wet paste of red ochre, a sacred, a magical, and a life-giving color, the color of blood, the color of life itself. She is dressed not in her old, worn, everyday clothes, but in her finest garments, a tunic of soft Welton deer hide, decorated with intricate patterns of shells and of animal teeth. She is adorned with the jewelry she wore and treasured in life, a necklace of seashells that she had traded for from a distant clan who lived by the great sea, a bracelet of carved and polished mammoth ivory. She is laid to rest, not in a lonely, isolated grave, but in a shallow pit, dug into the soft, dry earth at the very back of the great cave, the central, communal home of your people. She is placed in a sleeping position, curled on her side, her knees drawn up to her chest, as if she is just beginning a long, deep, and peaceful sleep. She is oriented to face the rising sun, the direction of rebirth, and she is not sent on this great journey alone, or empty-handed. She is buried with the things that she will need in the other world: a fine, sharp flint knife for cutting, a delicate, polished bone needle, and a spool of sinew thread for sewing, a small, simple clay pot filled with dried berries and with roasted nuts, a provision of food for the long journey, a collection of the special, medicinal herbs that she was known for, so that she can continue her work as a healer in the spirit world. These are not sentimental tokens. They are practical, necessary provisions for the life that is to come. And sometimes, a great and a painful sacrifice is made. The clan's favorite and most loyal hunting dog might be killed and buried at her feet, so that she will have a loyal and a familiar companion on her journey through the unknown landscapes of the other world. This act of burial, this careful, loving, and resource-intensive ritual, is a profound statement of belief. It is a declaration that the person is not gone forever. It is a declaration that their spirit, their anima, continues to exist, and that it is still a valued and an important part of the clan. The ancestors are not distant. faded memories. They are active, powerful, and often helpful presences in your daily life. You believe that their spirits watch over you from the other side. You speak to them. You ask them for guidance in your dreams. You ask them for help in the hunt. You ask them for protection from sickness and from danger. They are the invisible members of your community. They are the great, silent council of the dead, and they provide a vital and unbreakable link between your fleeting, mortal existence and the eternal, unchanging world of the spirits. But this spiritual world is not always benevolent, is not always helpful. Just as there are good neighbors and good kinsmen, there are also bad neighbors and dangerous enemies. And just so, the spirit world is filled with its own dangers. There are malevolent, angry spirits, the ghost of a person who died a bad death, a person who was murdered, or who drowned in the river, or who was taken by a lion, and whose body was not given a proper burial, might become a restless, a vengeful, and an angry spirit, a creature that is trapped between the worlds and is filled with a bitter jealousy for the living. This ghost can bring misfortune, can cause accidents, can whisper poisonous thoughts into your mind, can bring a wasting, inexplicable sickness to the children. There are also the spirits of the dark and dangerous places, the spirits of the deep, wet, and silent caves that have no opening to the sky, the spirits of the stagnant, foul-smelling swamps, where the will-o'-the-wisps, the fairy lights, dance at night to lure you to your death. And it is the job of the shaman, the most important and the most respected person in your clan, to be the mediator, the diplomat, the warrior, who stands between your sunlit, familiar world and this other, more ancient and more dangerous world. The shaman is a special and a powerful figure in your community. He or she is a man or a woman who was chosen by the spirits, often through a difficult and a life-threatening illness in their youth. They are a person who has died and been reborn. They are a person who can walk between the worlds, through the use of the powerful, hypnotic, and rhythmic beat of a hide drum, through the use of the monotonous, the droning, and the repetitive sound of a chant, through the exhaustion of a wild and a spinning dance, through the deprivation of a long and a difficult fast, and perhaps, on rare and sacred occasions, through the use of the powerful, vision-giving hallucinogenic plants, like the fly agaric mushroom. The shaman can enter a deep and a profound trance state. In this state, his spirit is believed to literally leave his physical body, which lies, as if dead, by the fire, and his spirit is free to travel into the spirit world. He goes there to speak with the great animal spirits, to negotiate with them, to ask for a successful hunt. He goes there to find the lost or the stolen soul of a sick person, a person whose illness is believed to be caused by soul loss, and to fight to bring it back. He goes there to do direct, and often dangerous battle with the malevolent spirits that are causing trouble for the clan. He is your doctor, he is your priest, he is your historian, he is your psychotherapist, he is your guide to the unseen. His visions, his dreams, his stories of his travels in the other world are a source of profound wisdom, of healing, and of power for the entire clan. The seventh unspoken rule of your childhood, the rule that is woven into the very fabric of your reality, is that the world you see with your eyes, the world of stones and of trees and of animals, is only half of reality. It is the skin of the world, and behind this sunlit physical world, there is another world, a deeper world, a world of spirits, of ancestors, of gods, and of monsters. This world is just as real, and in many ways, it is more powerful than your own. Your life is a constant, a delicate, and a deeply respectful negotiation with this unseen world. It is a dance of respect, of ritual, of reverence, and of caution. To be a successful human being is to understand this dance, to know your small but important place in the great, invisible web of life, and to walk through the world, not with arrogance, but with a sense of awe, of wonder, and of a deep and an abiding humility. You are a child on the long and often bewildering cusp of adulthood. You have spent the seasons of your young life learning the ways of the world. You have learned the subtle, sensory language of a lost and a wild landscape. You have learned the secrets of the plants from your mother, their names, their uses, their dangers. You have learned the patient, transformative art of the toolmaker from your father, the magic of turning a dead stone into a living edge. You have witnessed the terror, the ecstasy, and the sacred violence of the great hunt. You have sat by the fire, and you have felt the invisible but ever-present reality of the spirits in the rustling of the leaves and in the shapes of the clouds. You have learned the hard, unsentimental lessons of hunger, of pain, and of the fragility of life. But there is one more, final part of your childhood education. There is one more great and profound mystery to which you must be initiated before you can be considered a full member of your people. You must learn about the world of images. You must learn about the power of the symbol. You must journey into the darkness to witness the dawn of art. In the deepest, most remote, most silent, and most sacred parts of your people's great limestone cave, the vast cavernous home that has sheltered your clan for generations, there are places that you, as a child, have been strictly and mysteriously forbidden to enter. These are not the familiar, sunlit, and smoky living spaces near the mouth of the cave. These are narrow, winding, and often dangerous passages that lead deep into the body of the earth, far, far away from the light of the sun, far from the warmth and the safety of the communal fire. These are the secret places. These are the sanctuaries, the wombs of the world. And now, for the first time, after you have proven yourself worthy, after you have shown your patience, your courage, and your readiness, the shaman, the keeper of the mysteries, the man who walks between the worlds, is going to lead you there. The journey itself is a ritual of passage. You follow him, your heart a tight, pounding knot of excitement, of reverence, and of a deep, instinctual, and thrilling fear. You carry a small, simple lamp. It is a hollowed-out piece of soft sandstone, its shallow bowl filled with the rendered, white fat of a bison, a wick of dried moss floating in it. Its small, smoky, and sputtering flame is your only light, your only point of reference in the absolute, the crushing, the disorienting, and the profound blackness of this underworld. The air in the deep cave is cold, is still, is heavy, and it smells of damp stone, of wet clay, and of something else, something ancient, something sacred. The only sound is the slow, patient, and rhythmic drip, drip, drip of water seeping through the limestone ceiling. Each drop laden with dissolved calcite, the sound echoing in the vast, silent chamber. It is a sound that has echoed in this exact place for thousands upon thousands of years. It is the slow, patient, and eternal heartbeat of the earth itself. The shaman leads you through passages that become narrower and narrower until you are forced to crawl on your hands and knees through the cold, damp mud. He leads you down a slippery, vertical shaft, your feet finding purchase in the ancient, worn notches cut into the rock by your ancestors. And then he leads you into a great, a vast, and a vaulted chamber. And here, in the flickering, the dancing, and the utterly magical light of your tallow lamps, you see them, the paintings, the great, the secret, and the sacred art of your people. The walls of the cave, the undulating, the flowing, and the living surfaces of the rock are covered with them. Great, magnificent, powerful, and breathtakingly lifelike images of the animals that dominate your world. The great beasts that are both your sustenance, your rivals, and your gods. You see a herd of wild horses, their manes flowing, their bodies taut and muscular, their legs in a position of full gallop, seeming to thunder silently across the ancient rock. You see a great woolly mammoth, its shaggy brown coat rendered with fine incised lines, its huge, curving, ivory tusks seeming to project out of the wall, its small, intelligent, and soulful eye seeming to watch you from the deep past. You see a herd of steppe bison, their massive, muscular shoulders, and their dark, powerful, and knowing eyes seeming to hold a deep and an ancient wisdom. You see the other, more elusive and dangerous creatures of your world, a cave lion, its body long, sleek, and powerful, its mouth open in a silent, terrifying roar, a great, black cave bear, rising up on its hind legs, a figure of immense and almost supernatural power, a herd of giant Irish elk, their magnificent palmated antlers, a vast, an intricate, and an impossibly large branching forest on their heads. And there are other, stranger, and more mysterious things. There are abstract symbols, patterns of red and of black dots arranged in complex, non-random formations. There are grids of lines, there are strange claviform key-like shapes, and there are the handprints, dozens of them, hundreds of them, stenciled onto the wall in a great, overlapping, and ghostly cloud of red and of black. A person, an ancestor from the long, long ago past, had placed their hand flat against the cold, damp rock and had blown a fine, wet spray of powdered ochre pigment, likely from their own mouth, through a hollow bird bone, around it. The result is a perfect, a ghostly, and a deeply, hauntingly personal negative image of their presence. It is a signature. It is a mark of connection. It is a declaration that echoes through the vast silence of millennia. I was here. I touched this world. I existed. The art is not crude. It is not primitive. It is a work of profound skill, of keen observation, and of deep artistic mastery. The artists, your ancestors, were not just hunters. They were naturalists. They were observers. They were mystics of the highest order. They have used the natural, the flowing, the undulating contours of the cave wall itself to give their animals a sense of three-dimensional life, of movement, of breath, of living spirit. A natural, a rounded bulge in the rock becomes the powerful, muscular shoulder of a bison. A natural, a deep crack in the stone becomes the line of its back. A small, a dark, a concave depression in the wall becomes a perfect, a soulful, and a living eye. The artist did not just paint on the rock, they collaborated with it. The colors are rich, are deep, are earthy, are eternal. The vibrant, the life-giving reds, the warm, sunny yellows, and the rich, earthy browns are made from ochre, a natural iron oxide clay. It is a gift from the earth itself. The hunters have mined this ochre from special, sacred places in the landscape. They have ground it into a fine, a silky, and a deeply pigmented powder between two stones. The deep, the velvety, and the mysterious blacks are made from manganese dioxide, a black, metallic, or that they have also mined and ground, or from the simple, the humble, and the sacred charcoal taken from the living fire. These powdered pigments were then mixed with a binder, a liquid medium to turn the dry, dead powder into a living, a durable paint. The binder might be simple, clear cave water, water that is rich in dissolved calcite, which would help the paint to adhere to the wall and to last for thousands of years. It might be animal fat, or blood, or egg white from a bird's nest, or even human saliva. This paint was then applied to the wall with a variety of sophisticated tools, with simple but effective brushes made from animal hair, or from the chewed and frayed end of a twig, with pads of soft moss or of fur, to create broad areas of color. Or the pigment was mixed with water in the artist's own mouth and then blown through a hollow bird bone to create a fine, a delicate, and an ethereal spray of color. The technique used to create the ghostly hand stencils. You look at these images in a state of profound, of silent, and of speechless awe. You understand, with a deep, and intuitive, and a pre-verbal certainty, that this is not just a gallery of pictures. This is not art for art's sake, a simple decoration of a living space. This is a place of immense, of active, and of sacred power. This is a place where the world of the physical and the world of the spirits meet, and merge, and become one. The shaman begins to chant. His voice is low, is deep, is rhythmic, the sound echoing and amplifying in the great, silent, and resonant chamber of the earth. He tells you the stories of these paintings. He tells you that these are not just pictures of animals. They are the living, breathing spirits of the animals themselves. This cave, this deep, dark, and secret place, is the womb of the world. This is where the master of the animals, the great, singular, and generative spirit, who is the source of all the game, the great mother spirit of the herds, resides. He tells you that this is a place of creation. It is a place where the animal spirits are born. He points to a painting of a horse, and he shows you how it seems to be emerging, fully formed, from a deep, a dark, and a mysterious crack in the cave wall itself. And he tells you that this is a place of magic. It is a place of doing. The rituals that are performed in this sacred space, the chanting, the drumming, the dancing, the painting itself, are not just a performance. They are a way of ensuring the success of the hunt. They are a way of guaranteeing the fertility, the abundance, and the continuation of the great herds. They are a way of maintaining the delicate, the essential, and the often fragile balance between your world, the world of the hunters, and the world of the animals, the hunted. The painting of a new bison on the wall is not just an act of creative expression, it is an act of magical procreation, a powerful ritual to ensure that there will be more bison in the world outside, that your people will continue to be fed, that life will continue. You might even be invited, as a part of your initiation, to participate. The shaman might hand you a small, a smooth, and a heavy lump of soft, wet, red ochre. He might guide your own small, trembling hand as you add a simple line to an ancient and a sacred drawing. You might add a red spear to the side of a great, a black, and a powerful painted beast. In this moment, as your fingers touch the cold, damp, and living rock, you are not just a child, you are a participant in the great, the ancient, and the sacred magic of your people. You are adding your own small, fleeting, and yet eternal mark to a great story that has been unfolding on these dark walls for thousands upon thousands of years. And the art of your people is not just hidden away in the deep, secret caves. It is in the objects that you see and that you use every single day. The otlatl, the spear thrower, of a great hunter is not just a functional piece of wood. It might be exquisitely and lovingly carved from a piece of reindeer antler into the shape of a leaping ibex, or a swimming salmon, or two fighting mammoths. The tool is not just a tool, it is a work of art, a beautiful object that is imbued with the spirit and the power of the animal that it depicts. The small, the stylized, the female figurines, the so-called Venus figurines, that the women of your clan sometimes carve from mammoth ivory or from soft soapstone, or that they mold from river clay and fire in the hearth, with their exaggerated breasts, their wide hips, their pregnant bellies, are not just dolls. They are powerful, sacred objects. They are symbols of fertility, of motherhood, of the great, mysterious, life-giving power of the female. A simple necklace of pierced seashells, brought from a distant sea that is hundreds of miles away, a sea that you have never seen, is not just a piece of personal jewelry. It is a sign of your clan's extensive and vital trade networks. It is a symbol of your connection to a wider, a more complex human world. It is a piece of wearable geography. The ninth unspoken rule of your childhood is that beauty and utility, that art and magic, that the sacred and the mundane are the same thing. The world is not just a place of things to be used. It is a world of symbols to be read, of meanings to be understood. An image can be as powerful as a spear. A story can be as nourishing as a piece of meat. To be a fully human adult is to understand this. It is to understand that your people are not just hunters and gatherers. They are thinkers, they are dreamers, they are philosophers, they are artists. And in these dark, silent, and profoundly beautiful caves, you have been initiated into the deepest and the most powerful secret of your people. The power of the human imagination to create a world of meaning, a world of beauty, a world of hope, in the very heart of the great, the cold, and the indifferent darkness. And so, our long night's journey through the world of the Stone Age child comes to its end. You have lived a life that is, to our modern consciousness, almost unimaginable. You have learned the rich, the vibrant, and the deeply nuanced sensory language of a lost and a wild world. You have learned the secret names and the hidden uses of the plants from your mother. You have learned the patient, the transformative, and the almost magical art of the toolmaker from your father. You have witnessed the terror, the ecstasy, and the sacred, bloody violence of the great hunt. You have sat in the deep, silent, and painted darkness of the sacred caves, and you have felt the living presence of the spirits in the rustling of the leaves and in the shapes of the clouds. You have learned, through the hard, unsentimental lessons of your own body, the realities of hunger, of cold, of pain, and of the constant, quiet, and familiar presence of death. You have survived. You have endured. You have become a Stone Age adult. But the world you were born into, the great, the cold, the stable, and the seemingly eternal world of the Pleistocene, the world of the great continental ice sheets and of the giant, magnificent megafauna, is not a world that will last forever. A great and an irreversible change is coming, a change so profound, so complete, and so all-encompassing that it will alter the very landscape of the earth, the very climate of the sky, and the entire course of human history. The long, deep, and bitter ice age is finally, slowly, and inexorably coming to its end. You do not understand the great, the planetary, and the cosmic forces that are at work. You do not know about the subtle, the slow, and the cyclical shifts in the Earth's orbit around the Sun, the great Milankovitch cycles that are causing the world to slowly, century by century, warm. What you see, what you feel, what you experience, is a series of profound and often deeply unsettling changes in your immediate, tangible world. The winters, which had been the great, defining hardship of your people for thousands of generations, seem to be a little less harsh with each passing year. The spring, the time of new life, seems to come a little earlier. The great continental glaciers that have loomed on the northern horizon for as long as your people can remember. The great, shimmering, and impossibly high walls of ice. The The frozen rivers that have defined the northern edge of your world are slowly, imperceptibly, retreating. The world is becoming wetter. The melting of these unimaginable quantities of ice is releasing vast biblical volumes of water back into the world's oceans and rivers. Great, new, and powerful rivers are being formed, carving new paths through the landscape. Sea levels are rising, year by year, foot by foot. The low, coastal plains, where your ancestors once hunted, the now drowned lands that we call Doggerland, the ancient land bridge that once connected your home in what is now Britain to the great continent of Europe, are slowly, inexorably, being submerged beneath the waves of a rising, an angry, and an encroaching sea. The vast, the open, the dry, and the grassy tundra, the great, cold pasture that supported the massive, world-shaking herds of woolly mammoth and of steppe bison, is beginning to change. The landscape of your world is being transformed. With the warming climate, with the increased rainfall, the forests are returning. At first, it is the hardy, pioneering trees, the dwarf birches, and the low, scrubby willows. But then, as the centuries pass, they are followed by the great, the dense, and the towering forests of pine, of oak, of elm, of lime. The open landscape of your ancestors, the world of the vast unbroken horizon, is disappearing, replaced by a new, a denser, a darker, and a more enclosed world. And as the landscape changes, so too do the animals, the great megafauna, the mammoths, the woolly rhinos, the giant elk, the cave lions, the very animals that have been the absolute center of your people's entire existence, their primary source of food, their most powerful and revered gods, the breathing, living subjects of the great, sacred art in the deep caves, are beginning to disappear. Their world, the cold, dry, open steppe, is vanishing. It is being replaced by the warm, the wet, and the dense forest. They are creatures of the Ice Age, and they are unable to adapt to this new, warmer world. Their numbers dwindle. The great herds become smaller, more scattered. The great hunts, the central drama of your people's life, become less and less successful. One day, the hunters will return, their faces filled with a new and a profound sadness, and they will say that the mammoths, the great, shaggy, and wise beings, are gone forever. This is a time of immense crisis. It is a time of profound, of deep, and of unsettling uncertainty. But it is also a time of great and of unprecedented opportunity. Your people, the small, the mobile, and the highly adaptable, nomadic bands of hunter-gatherers, are faced with a stark and a simple choice. They must change, or they will perish. The old ways of life, the ancient and sacred strategies that have allowed your ancestors to survive and to thrive for tens of thousands of years, are no longer working. You must adapt, you must innovate, you must learn a new way to live in a new world. The focus of the hunt, the very heart of the male world, must shift. The great slow-moving and herd-living animals of the open plains are replaced by the smaller, the faster, the more solitary, and the more elusive animals of the new, dense forest. The red deer, the roe deer, the wild boar, the aurochs. The techniques of the hunt must change, must adapt. The great communal drive, the stampeding of a herd over a cliff or into a ravine, is no longer an effective strategy in the close, confined spaces of the forest. Hunting becomes a matter of stealth, of silence, of patience, of tracking a single animal, sometimes for days, through the dense, dark woods. And a new and a revolutionary technology becomes the primary hunting tool, the bow and arrow. This is a weapon of immense sophistication and of profound consequence. It is a weapon that is perfect for the close-quarters ambush-style combat of the new forest landscape. It allows a single, silent hunter to make a kill from a distance, with a speed and an accuracy that was impossible with the heavy, thrown spear. The crafting of a good bow, of straight and true arrows, of sharp, new, and smaller types of flint arrowheads, the microliths, becomes the primary technological focus of the men. The diet of your people, in response to these changes, diversifies. You become less reliant on the boom and bust cycle of the meat of large game. You begin to rely more and more heavily on the rich, the varied, and the highly reliable resources of the new, warmer, and more productive rivers, lakes, and the rising seas. You learn to make sophisticated and highly effective fish traps from woven willow and from hazel. You learn to carve fine, delicate, and wickedly barbed harpoons from bone and from antler to spear the great salmon and the pike that swim in the clear. cool waters of the rivers. You learn to build simple but highly effective boats, dugout canoes, made from a single, massive log, hollowed out with controlled fire and with stone adzes. With these boats, you can explore the coastlines, you can travel the great river highways, and you can harvest the rich and seemingly endless bounty of the sea, the great shoals of fish, the seals that haul out on the rocky shores, the seabirds and their eggs on the high cliffs, and you learn to gather the rich harvest of the shoreline, the great beds of oysters, of mussels, of clams, which can be gathered at low tide with little effort and little risk. The great ancient shell middens, some of them hundreds of meters long and many meters thick, that are found along the coasts of this period are a testament to this new and profound reliance on the treasures of the sea. You learn not just to hunt and to gather in the forest, but to manage the forest itself. You learn that by setting controlled fires, by burning back the thick, impassable undergrowth, you can create clearings, small, open, and grassy spaces within the dense woods, and you learn that these clearings attract the deer, the roe deer, and the wild boar that you now hunt. You are no longer just a passive participant in the landscape, taking what it offers. You are beginning to actively and intentionally shape it to your own needs. You are becoming a gardener of the wild, and in the most fertile, the most sheltered, and the most productive river valleys, in the places where the wild grasses and the edible plants grow most thickly, some of your people, after many, many generations of this new, more settled, forest and river life, begin to experiment with a new and a truly radical way of life. Instead of constantly moving, following the seasonal migrations of the animals, they begin to stay in one place for longer and longer periods of time. They build more permanent shelters, small, sturdy huts made of wood and of earth, no longer the temporary camps of their ancestors, and they begin to actively and intentionally cultivate the very plants that they have for so long only gathered. They learn, through a process of careful observation and of trial and error, to save the seeds from the strongest, the largest, and the most productive of the wild grasses. They learn to clear the ground of other plants. They learn to plant these selected seeds in the rich, alluvial soil of the riverbank. They learn to water them, to weed them, to protect them from birds and from animals. This is the dawn of agriculture. This is the beginning of the Neolithic revolution. It is a slow, a gradual, and a hesitant revolution. For a long time, this new farming is just a small supplement to the old, reliable ways of hunting and of gathering. But in time, it will grow. It will lead to a new, a more settled, and a more predictable way of life. It will lead to the production of surplus food. It will lead to the growth of the first permanent villages, then the first walled towns, and then, eventually, the first great, sprawling cities. It will lead to a new kind of society, a society of farmers, of priests, of soldiers, of kings. It will lead, eventually, and inexorably, to us, to our own complex and troubled world. You, the Stone Age child, the child of the great cold and ancient ice age, stand at the very cusp, at the very beginning, of this great and world-shattering transformation. Your life has been a bridge between two completely different worlds, the old, the cold, and the heroic world of the Ice Age, the world of the mammoth and of the great painted caves, and the new, the warm, the green, and the more complex world that is now being born. The skills you have learned, the profound resilience you have developed, the deep, the intimate, and the sacred knowledge of the natural world that you possess, will be the foundation upon which this entire new world is built. And so, our long night's journey comes to its end. We leave you here, at the grey, the wet, and the uncertain dawn of a new era. The great, roaring fire of your ancient world, the fire of the great hunt, has burned down to a few cold embers. But from those very embers, a new and a different kind of fire, the slow, the steady, and the transformative fire of civilization, is about to be lit. The world of the hunter is fading into the mists of memory, and the world of the farmer, the world of the village, is about to begin. The great, deep, and profound silence of the deep past is about to be broken, forever, by the rising noise of history. Let us be grateful for this long journey into the past, for in understanding the world of this distant, this forgotten, and this resilient child, we can perhaps better understand ourselves. We can see the deep, the ancient, and the often hidden roots of our own art, of our own spirituality, of our own societies, of our own very consciousness. We are their descendants. Their ancient blood runs in our modern veins. Their profound resilience, their brilliant ingenuity, their deep and their enduring humanity is our greatest and most precious inheritance. The last embers of the fire have faded. The sun is rising on a new and an unfamiliar world. The long, deep sleep of the Stone Age is over. Sleep well.